G'day guys. This video is about taurine and wound healing. So let's get on with it. Let me just share this. Okay, so this is a study that was published it was accepted and published in 96 in Amino Acids, which is an Austrian publication. So this was out of Turkey, Department of Physiology and Department of Histology, Faculty of Medicine, Gazi University, Ankara, and their health department, and a hospital, Ankara Numun Hospital. So they sort of participated in this as well. So summary, let's get into it. So taurine, which has antioxidant effects, is also known to have effects on cell proliferation, inflammation, collagenesis, so collagen synthesis. The aim of this study was to investigate the effect of taurine on incisional skin wounds. So basically, they pretty much induced the wound. Mice incised on the dorsal area were divided into control and experimental groups. So there is basically two groups of mice, and they will also be divided into two other groups. So saline was injected intraperitoneal to half of the animals. That's in the organ cavity internally of the animals. In the control group, and locally applied to half. Now, in the control group, they actually put in 50 millimoles of taurine solution. It's about approximately, it's not exactly, it's just slightly less than 8 grams of taurine. So it's approximately, from rough memory, because 1 millimole is about 0.157 or something like that of a gram approximately. I can't remember the exact number. I could be wrong, but it's about that amount. I know the actual, that it's 0.15 or 7, I can't remember. It's a while, you know. Must be having some brain fog. Anyway, let's move on. Was given intraperitoneally, internally to half, and experimental animals, and locally to the half of the experimental group. After 4 days of treatment, melanoidaldehyde, MDA, and histamine levels, as well as tensile strength of the wound tissue, were measured. Now, MDA is basically a biomarker of oxidative stress. So when people have, let's say, oxidative stress due to cardiovascular disease, lung disease, even mental disease, I believe as well. There is a physiological side to that as well. Cancer, leukemia, and stuff like that. You do this oxidative stress marker, biomarker, actually goes up. So they can actually measure it in that regard. And the structural alteration of epidermis and dermis were histologically evaluated. So they basically evaluated and checked to see what happened, what the improvements were. So in regards to the incised injury they caused these animals. The locally administered taurine significantly increased wound tensile strength, which basically we're talking about here, increased the sort of collagen fibers of the actual skin, their strength actually improved, which is actually a sign of healing. by decreasing MDA and histamine levels and prevented the degranulation of the mast cells. These observations suggest that taurine may be useful on wound healing. So let's take a look at table 1. These is part of the results. They do show images down here, you know, the sort of from the where they did the sort of the incision and the sort of healing process. They go through a number of these things. Now, this isn't available online, so if anybody wants it, do get in contact with me. So these are the important things of the MDA, histamine levels, and tensile strength of the skin wounds, the improvement. So there's the control, there's the taurine group. And this is basically, you can see the difference between the control group, and that's on the, you know, localized on the skin. You can actually see a dramatic drop in this, you know, oxidative stress biomarker. So it's practically gone to about nearly half. Okay, so you can actually see that. Internally within the body, it's reduced a bit, but remember, these animals were wounded on the skin, but it actually had, the taurine had improvements, even internally, dropping the internal levels, which when you get oxidative stress, even on the skin, you will get oxidative stress around the rest of the body, you know, because you're actually pumping these things in the body. And so you will get them dramatically dropped elsewhere in the body as well. Histamine, again, at the skin, literally halved, more or less. And when we're looking at the internal organ cavity, it dropped a bit, but not as much. I know I've talked about taurine as being a histamine degrading, as histamine degrading capacity, but you know, there are other processes that histamine plays an important role, and these are not very, you know, like extremely elevated levels anyway. So in that regard, and that's systemic throughout the whole body. It's not, you know, so let's just correct that. Tensile strength, the important thing about the healing. Here's the control group. Here's internally. We don't get much. Look at the difference. Taurine at the local level, double. Not just 1% or 2%, double the tensile strength. So the skin has double, you know, we're talking about 100% here in terms of, you know, mechanistically. Seeing one group, the control, and another group that basically is the intervention group, and it's got double the result, the improvement. So that's dramatic. Nearly double. It's not exactly double. It's not 8. But the thing that shocked me the most is this one internally, 2 to 5. That's more than double. So internally in the organs inside the body and all that, you actually even got stronger results. And that doesn't surprise me, because I've actually talked about this before, the importance of collagen and the importance of keratin in collagen, and the sulfur amino acids, the binding effect of keratin with sulfur amino acids, the importance in collagen integrity due to taurine in the past. So this does not surprise me, but it's higher than I actually thought it would be. But they are administering 8 grams of taurine, so very high doses, you know. So in humans, it would be massively higher. So that's, well, they're giving them these doses to get quick results. So all we've got in terms of human research is humans seem to tolerate fine up to 10 grams. Above that, I wouldn't recommend it. I have seen certain electrolyte issues. So I tend to basically encourage people not to go that high generally, you know, about 6 at most. but at 5 to be the safest. Now, even though research has shown that up to 10 is quite safe, I'm reluctant to encourage people to go to those levels unless there are specific circumstances where I would recommend it, and then I would put that person on a specific diet and a specific nutrients, and it will be strict with those sort of levels. So usually people that have come to me for other ailments and stuff like that, and I've recommended taurine at different dosages. I don't recommend the same dosages depending on your circumstance, your age, and a whole lot of other profiles. So yes, do ask me about specific conditions. Do not basically asking me just random things, because I'll just basically tell you 3 grams at most. I take about 2, you know, and sometimes 1 if I'm eating quite a bit of meat for that day, because I get more than enough in that regard. Maybe after 65, when biosynthesis drops dramatically, then as I said, I'll probably go back up again, but that's for a future date in that regard. So very important that we understand that that pretty much it does play a very important role in that regard. So there's actually this, I'll just, this is, you know, it's funny, you know, WebMD, you know, it's sort of, you wouldn't think that, but they actually talk about taurine here, you know, amino acid, many functions of the body and all that. They talk about the importance about electrolyte balance and proper hydration. Yes, I've talked about hydration before, that it plays a very important in the intra and extracellular osmotic, you know, fluid balance between your cells and your bloodstream. So very important in that regard, in also regulating a whole lot of minerals like calcium, sodium, potassium, magnesium, all these sort of things. That's why I say meat is the perfect combination with these electrolyte minerals. Regulates central nervous system, vision. I've already discussed about cataracts and all that. It's good research in that. Protection and maintenance of cells around the body. Yep. They usually say up to 3 is fine. 3 grams, 3,000 milligrams, 3 grams, same thing. They talk about how it improves blood sugar levels, insulin resistance, improvements and stuff like that. That's associational studies. So, you know, you can't take taurine and eat shit. It's, you know, not going to really work for you. But if you clean up the diet and actually add taurine in, it will improve things a bit quicker than what would happen normally without the supplementation. It seems to accelerate a lot of improvements in collagen, in inflammation markers, and all sorts of things. So it's a good thing. I mean, I've used it for the cardiovascular reason. Also prevents left ventricular hypertrophy that I've talked about, growth of the left ventricle of the heart. So really important. Cholesterol and triglyceride levels. It's more of a regulator in that regard. It sort of cleans up because it does impede slightly the Randall cycle, and that's where these sort of benefits are coming from. Blood pressure, I've talked about, very important. If you're on blood pressure meds, you've got to really be careful because it does drop blood pressure quite a bit depending on what your dosage is. Arterial stiffness, very good. And another factor, just think women, combine L-citrulline with this, which is a vasodilator, with this that reduces blood pressure and improves arterial stiffness. And what do you have? Much better pump. What does that mean? Better libido for your man. Yes. Half an hour before does the business. So yes, consider that as an option, as an additional bonus tip for the ladies out there and the men that want to impress their lady. So a natural Viagra, meat. Who would have thought it? The thing is, it has all these healing benefits. It's been shown in this study and a number of other studies of where we've actually seen the antioxidant effect and stuff like that. This study is probably one of the very few that I've actually seen directly where they've administered, they've actually caused an injury and they've administered high doses to see what happens with a control group. And we've seen improvements. So taurine on its own, this is without any other inputs, just on its own. So you can actually see combined taurine with a good level of, a good quantity of other amino acids, leucine, and many other things in there in complete food. And you've really got, a powerful healing sort of combo in that regard. So that's a take-home message of that. The importance of taurine for healing and for many other things in that regard within the body. Now, foods that sort of high in taurine tend to be organ meats, tend to be high. There's, octopus is pretty high as well. So it's usually, from memory, this is rough, don't hold me to this. It's sort of like liver is about the highest. Then it's octopus, then it's chicken. I can't remember whether it's turkey. Yeah, I think it's turkey. Then a couple of the other, like ducks and stuff like that. And then it's tuna, lamb, then beef. So that, and I believe pork is close to lamb as well, around that regard, or maybe even a bit higher. I can't remember from memory now, or it's about the same around there. The highest ones tend to be a lot of the sort of seafood stuff, or the birds, basically the descendants of the dinosaurs. So they tend to have much higher, they have that much higher in both taurine and MK4 as well. The dinosaurs must have been really doing pretty well, I can tell you, on both those nutritional fronts. So that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed it, of the importance of taurine in your diet in order to improve wound healing. And if you've got elderly, which tend to suffer more of these things, do consider adding taurine to their supplement regime together with leucine, as I've talked in the past, the importance of both, one as an amino transporter as well, which is taurine, plus leucine for muscle protein synthesis. It's probably a good supplementation, and also will improve any wound healing issues which elderly people seem to suffer more these days because they're undernourished in terms of animal foods, many cases. So that's a bonus on that front as well. Anyway, see yous.